Hi there. Welcome to today's workshop. I'm Amanda Firstead, and I'm the Mental Health Promotion Program Coordinator at Vandal Health Education. Presenting with me today is Maddie Brown, Assistant Director for Health Promotion. Vandal Health Education is a one-stop shop for health and well-being resources. You may have seen us out and about on campus with tabling events, therapy dogs, and cooking classes like Vandalizing the Kitchen. We also provide health information and facilitate workshops like this one here. Today we're going to learn how to focus on our well-being during times of uncertainty. By the end of this presentation, you'll be able to define well-being, learn tips to enhance your mental, physical, and social well-being, and brainstorm ways you can stay motivated during challenging times. Let's go ahead and get started.
During challenging and uncertain times of transition, it can be difficult to maintain routine, stay on task, and engage in self-care in order to maintain our overall health and well-being. But what does well-being mean? Can anyone define it? Pause this presentation to consider what well-being means to you. Well-being is balancing all areas of our lives, including our mental, physical, and social health, satisfaction with life, fulfillment, and positive functioning. In general, well-being is a state of being happy, healthy, and content. Now, well-being for one person may be different than well-being for another person. It all comes down to how we think and feel about our well-being, and what choices we make, and what we think a more successful existence means. Today we're going to share some tips to enhance your mental, physical, and social well-being, and how to stay self-motivated. We chose to focus on 3 aspects of well-being because they are likely the most pertinent to your day-to-day success and well-being at this moment. Today we will be focusing on the pink, light blue, and yellow areas on the wheel that represent social, mental, and physical health respectively. When you see a well-being wheel like this, it is important to remember that all of the dimensions are interrelated. You cannot function without one, and they all depend on each other. For information and resources related to the other 3 dimensions of well-being represented in the wheel, including intellectual, spiritual, and occupational well-being, visit the Vandal Health Education website. These 2 are very important to your overall well-being. On the VHE website, the wheel is interactive, and by clicking on each dimension, you will see campus resources related to that area of well-being.
It is important to be mindful of our mental health all the time, but especially when things are uncertain. So there are a few things that you can do. One is focus on the things that you can control. This might seem hard right now, but try to consider the things around you that you can control. For example, your environment. How is your space set up? Have you established boundaries with family and friends about when you're working on schoolwork and when you're available? Additionally, being intentional about what you see on social media and maintaining your daily routine. So getting up at the same time each day, changing into new clothes each day, and maintaining your morning and evening routines. Whether you're following the recommended health guidelines or making efforts to connect with others through alternate means. Also, try to let go of the things you cannot control. Other people's actions, closures, moving to remote classes, etc. We can also set boundaries related to media coverage. There's a lot of news coming in very frequently right now, so some ideas for how to do that could be setting a time limit or number of stories that you will look at each day and not seeking out news outside of those times. You can also mute accounts that are sharing more coronavirus-related content than you'd like to see, or unfollow accounts that you don't find helpful for you. You can alternatively follow more accounts that are based in therapy, mental health, or self-care to bring more positivity into your feed. You can also use an app that doesn't let you access social media during certain times of the day if you find it hard not to go back to those apps or seek out that news. You're also going to want to continue to seek options to maintain your practices that were in place while you were on campus. So the CTC has moved their services to Zoom, so appointments are still accessible. So if you've had appointments in the past, you can still continue to do that, or if you need to make a new appointment, you can still contact them through their phone number and make an appointment and see a counselor via Zoom. There's also a 24/7 helpline to talk to a licensed clinician as you need. So whenever you need to check in with somebody, that resource is available. It's the same number that's listed on the screen as the counseling and testing phone number. And what you're going to do is you're going to press option 3 in order to access that resource. We have reached the first activity in the workshop. I'm going to explain how all the activities will work, and then we'll jump into this activity. When we reach an activity, we'll explain how to do it. Then you'll pause the video, complete the activity, and when you're done, you'll unpause the video and we'll be on to the next topic. Each activity will correspond to the worksheet file that you've been given. So for this activity, we're on the first page of that worksheet file. In the top left box, you will identify some priorities that you have related to mental well-being. They might be things from the last slide or things that you know are important to maintaining your mental well-being. You don't have to mark down all 5. This can be a working document. In the top right, you'll write down something to tell yourself when things are overwhelming. This can be something encouraging, like I can do this, or a reminder, like I can't control this, I will focus on things I can control. Then the rest of the boxes are there for you to develop steps for how you will make your priorities happen. You can write down your strategy and then the action steps you will take. Some things may need all 3 action steps and others might not. Fill in what works for you, and maybe right now that's just something to get you started. That's okay. Then you'll see the option to put in a deadline. If your strategy has a time that you'd like to complete it by, then you can use that. Otherwise, you can put down when you would like to use that strategy. For example, when I'm overwhelmed or when I'm tired, etc. You don't have to fill in all of the strategy boxes. You can use them for the priorities that you've identified or just those that you have steps for right now. Again, this is a working document, so you can come back to it. Go ahead and pause the video to complete the activity and unpause when you are ready.
This dimension of health is more than just the absence of disease. It's all about activity, nutrition, and taking care of our bodies. Another aspect of this dimension is being mindful of substances that may harm our bodies, like tobacco, drugs, and excessive alcohol. You can already begin to see how the different aspects of well-being are interwoven and connected. Being physically well often leads to many psychological or emotional benefits like increased self-esteem, self-control, determination, and motivation. Unlike the common misconception that we simply lie down, do nothing, and recharge like a phone hooked up to the charger until morning, our body and mind are actually very active while we sleep. Sleep clears waste buildup in the brain. During the day, the active firing of neurons causes the buildup of waste product, which can interfere with signals in the brain if not cleared away. While we sleep, a sewage system of sorts does its work to flush out the waste. This allows for optimal cognitive functioning after waking. Sleep also solidifies the connections made throughout the time we're awake. This leads to the preservation of memories made during wakefulness, which means that information is then stored in our long-term memory. This makes sleep critical for successful studying. So, consider these tips to get the best sleep. Aim for a consistent 7 to 9 hours a night. Avoid sleeping in too much longer than usual on the weekends in order to stick to your sleep schedule. Have a bedtime routine. Now this will look different for everyone. A bedtime routine is comprised of the same things that you do every day before you go to sleep that tell your brain that you're ready for bed. For example, this could look like an evening shower, brushing your teeth, and reading a chapter in your book. But what about naps? It's recommended to nap for either 20 minutes or an hour and a half. Taking a 20 or 90-minute nap avoids that groggy feeling while still feeling awake and alert. You'll still feel alert if you take a 30 or 60-minute nap, but you might feel a bit groggy. Each meal and snack is an opportunity to nourish your body. When planning your meals and snacks for the day, plan for 3 meals and 1 to 3 snacks during the times you normally get hungry, or every 3 to 5 hours. If you're getting used to a completely new schedule, consider what time you wake up in the morning, what time you go to bed, and what cognitive and physical activity you'll be doing in your days, and plan meals in and around those times. When planning ahead for your meals, consider picturing your plate and aim for your plate to include a quarter of each: whole grains, healthy proteins, fruits and vegetables, with vegetables taking up a little bit more than a quarter and fruits taking up a little bit less than 1/4 of your plate. Of course, meals and snacks will vary, but do consider whole food options such as whole grains, like whole wheat breads and pastas, brown rice and quinoa, a variety of types and colors of fruits and veggies, meats, and beans. Note that frozen and canned fruits and veggies are just as healthy as fresh. Also, remember to avoid or limit highly processed foods with large amounts of sugar and salt. Drink plenty of water, listen to your hunger and fullness cues, maintain a consistent eating schedule, and be intentional about eating. This means to eat with a purpose. Slow down your eating to really enjoy your food through all 5 senses. Getting up and moving around after long bouts of sitting and studying can help with refocus and concentration. Consider scheduling and movement times throughout your day and know that there are different ways to get moving. One option is to go outside and be mindful of social distancing or staying 6 feet away from another person. You could go for a walk or a hike, bike around your neighborhood, do some gardening, do yoga, go for a jog or a run, dance. There are so many options when you opt outside. Consider home workouts as well. The Stay Well U of I Recreation and Wellbeing webpage has several options for exercising at home, including a cool new feature called Ask a Trainer, where you can schedule a virtual meeting with a U of I fitness trainer and ask questions about personal fitness. There are also other ways to be active and get moving that aren't always considered exercise. Rigorously cleaning your bathroom tub and shower, vacuuming, mopping, dusting, or doing laundry all get you up and moving around. Rearranging home furniture or doing yard work are also great ideas. Be mindful of moderation if you choose to use alcohol or other drugs. Binge drinking, vaping, and smoking could suppress immune responses or lead to a greater susceptibility to pneumonia, which has developed in cases of moderate to severe COVID-19. If you do choose to use alcohol, consider using safer drinking strategies, like eating before and or during drinking, alternating non-alcoholic with alcoholic beverages, and sticking with one type of alcohol the entire time. Pick 2 or 3 safer drinking strategies that work for you and stick to them if you choose to use. Fresh Start Nicotine Cessation is a free resource available to U of I students, faculty, and staff who want to quit nicotine. That includes all forms of tobacco and vaping. This 4-part class is geared to help participants increase their motivation to quit, learn effective approaches for quitting, and guide them in making a successful quit attempt. Reach out to aod@uidaho.edu if you're interested. Fresh Start is available via Zoom. Now, turn to page 2 of your activity sheet and find the Physical Wellbeing section. Take some time to consider your current physical well-being practices. List 3 to 4 practices that you currently engage in around sleep, nutrition, movement, and alcohol or other drug use if that applies to you. Then think critically about 1 or 2 practices you'd like to incorporate into your day-to-day life to enhance your overall well-being. Pause this video to complete the activity and then unpause to continue with the rest of the presentation.
Now we're going to talk about social well-being. So this dimension includes relationships with friends, family, those we interact with on a daily basis, and relationships with our environment and community as a whole. Now, think about how you connect with those around you. Have you created a support system? Do you rely on different parts of your system for different things? Do you feel more energized when talking to someone in your support system? Some folks might not normally find interacting with others energizing, but we do want to remember that alone time is important, but it's also important to connect with others during this time of transition and adjustment. That's why it's important to check in on your friends and family about the challenges that this new normal creates and share your own challenges. Be mindful that this time might be difficult for some, especially those who have mental health concerns. Be open about how and how often you might want check-ins and be ready to adapt as things change. We have a few tips for staying connected when we might not be in the same place as our support system. One way to be intentional about interaction is video calling. It can be helpful to see someone's facial expressions and feel closer to the person. Sometimes texts or chats can make reading the tone tough. You can use FaceTime, Skype, Discord, Facebook video calling, and even more to do this. This next one is something that I do and I found really valuable. You can start a virtual book club. You can set page limits so it isn't an overwhelming amount to read or listen to with an audiobook, but this can give everyone a reason to connect and chat about something in common. Discord is a great and free program to use for that. You can also download Libby and access books from your library, so your virtual book club can be totally free. You can also watch a movie together virtually. Netflix Party is a Chrome extension you can use with people who have a Netflix account. You can all watch a movie in unison, and there's an online chat version as well. You can also share your screen and use any of the other platforms that we've talked about today to do this as well. Use different platforms to communicate and get creative. Using GIFs and memes can help with expression and lightening the mood. And don't forget old-fashioned ways of communicating and staying connected. Send someone a text, make a phone call, or even send a letter. For our social well-being activity, we're going to be on page 3 of our worksheet file. On this page, you'll notice that there is a honeycomb filled with different ways to get virtually connected to your support system or your beehive. So in each one of the honeycombs, there's a different suggestion and ways to execute that. So you're going to star or highlight or mark in some way either the ways that you're already connecting with your support system or ways that you're interested in connecting with your support system. If something that you're interested in or you're already doing isn't there, there are 3 blank honeycombs that you can fill that out for. Then make sure you share these ideas with your beehive so you can stay connected. Go ahead and pause the video and unpause when you've completed the activity. It can be difficult to navigate the change to an all-online delivery of courses, especially if the change has affected more than just your academic life. Staying on top of your academics can help to alleviate the pressure from other challenges, but it can be very difficult to maintain motivation. So consider the following tips for staying motivated. Make a schedule and stick to it, in whatever way works for you. It might take time to figure out what that is, but that's okay. Try a few different things and see what works for you. Get up at the same time you would for class. If your class isn't live, use the time you would normally have class to watch your lectures or do your homework. Schedule in times for work and breaks and make that schedule clear. Write down everything you'll do in the day. When we are away from campus, we can feel like we need to be working all the time. Remember that breaks are important and actually help us be more productive. Also consider sharing your schedule with family members or roommates. This can help to establish the time that you need for schoolwork and show when you have time for other responsibilities. This can really help to establish the boundaries between schoolwork and home responsibilities. To-do lists are also helpful, and checking items off the to-do list is a great way to feel accomplished and remind yourself that you did get things done that day. Having a morning routine can help us get our day started. Getting dressed and changing your clothes each day and doing your usual morning routine can help get us in the mindset that we're starting the day. It's also important to have a dedicated study space. This helps us to keep the boundaries between school and home when otherwise we might not have clear space boundaries. Without this, it can be hard to step away and separate schoolwork and fun. It might be tempting, but don't study in bed. Keep that reserved for sleep and relaxing. This not only helps with our boundaries, but it also helps with our sleep health. Lastly, find what level of noise works for you. No talking or music might be too quiet, but a TV or music with words might pull focus. Sometimes pop music instrumentals, video game music, or movie soundtracks can be a great way to have noise without too much of a distraction. For our motivation activity, we'll be on page 4 of our worksheet file. Motivation strategies will look different for everyone. Consider the strategies you already use to keep yourself motivated and what strategies you could incorporate into your daily routine. Pause the video, think about these strategies, and fill in the will and won't statements as a reminder to yourself on how you can stay motivated. Once you're done, go ahead and unpause the video and we'll talk about some resources that are available to you.
Although classes are delivered online and students are encouraged to practice social distancing and/or isolation, key campus resources and services are still available to students, and I encourage you to seek out these resources should you need them. You can find information and updates to the COVID-19 response at uidaho.edu/coronavirus. To comply with social distancing, the CTC is now providing care via Zoom. You can find more information on their website at uidaho.edu/ctc. Check out the Vandal Health Education Facebook and Instagram pages for self-care and coping tips, and for future health information to come. Lastly, consider filing a Vandal Care Report if you feel that a campus community member is in distress and/or needs support navigating this transition. You can even file a report on yourself. For questions about well-being, campus resources, or concerns related to the U of I's COVID-19 response, send us an email at vandalhealthed@uidaho.edu. And remember to keep calm and Vandal on.